This is Scott Vanderplu, and you're listening to the Artist Edition Index Podcast, episode 84.
I went down to the St. James Infirmary, found my baby there, stretched out on a long white table, so sweet, so cold, so fast.
Thank you for joining me once more on this journey of all things AE, where we discuss what has occurred on aeindex.org and the ancillary items that may surround those written articles on the website. All right, let's get right into it this month. No real theme or primary topic, but there has been a lot of discussion about the solicitations this month and the crowdfunding from PUG Worldwide, which is Pan Universal Galactic Worldwide. And I might as well just get right into that. And let's go to that November 23 crowdfunding article. And the book we're discussing is Conan the Barbarian Colossal Edition. The blurb is quite long. I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can go to the website and read it, but I'll give you some highlights here. Boasting more than 190 pages of original art reproduced at their original size, allowing every detail to sing, every muscle, every sword, every drop of blood and bead of sweat. The book presents glorious full-color reproductions of the original art, from inked line art to beautiful gray washes and even vivid paintings from the Cimmerian's comic book adventures. So Conan the Barbarian Colossal Edition is divided into 3 sections. The first 3 each shine a torchlight on the work of one of the greatest sword and sorcery artists of all time, John Buscema, Gil Kane, and Barry Windsor Smith. Each section pulls pages from the decades of incomparable artistry that filled the pages of Conan the Barbarian, King Conan, The Savage Sword of Conan, Giant Size Conan, Savage Tales, What If, Conan the Barbarian Movie Special, and more. Each artist section is presented in chronological order, so you can see how their individual approaches changed over the course of decades, all bracketing the centerpiece of this collection. Oh, which I missed. The complete story, Devil Wings Over Shadazar, from Conan the Barbarian number 6 by Roy Thomas, Barry Windsor Smith, and Sal Buscema, with every page presented in full, incredible detail. Finally, the book concludes with an extended section of key pages by other incredible artists. Art Adams, Neil Adams, Alfredo Acala, Enrique Alcatena, Ernie Chan, Howard Chaykin, Joe Chiodo, Tim Conrad, Jeff Isherwood, Gary Kwapitz, Jim Lee, Esteban Morado, John McCrea, Rudy Nebras, Alex Nino, Kevin Nolan, Tony Salmons, Bill Sienkiewicz, Alex Toth, and Jorge Zafino. All right, this is being solicited via Zoop, and the campaign was originally scheduled December 2nd, but the campaign has been extended to, looks like December 15th now. There's 3 books available. There's 2 standard books with 2 different covers, right? There's the John Buscema cover, and there's a Jim Lee cover, same interior contents, $150. There's also a signed version of the John Buscema cover signed by Roy Thomas. That's $200. There's also retailer bundles. I'm getting a retailer bundle so I can offer these for sale on the site. Most likely I'm just ordering the Buscema covers. But anyway, that's the big crowdfunding. And then there's been a lot of discussion about why these numbers aren't higher and how they can get out, how they can get information out, or how are publishers supposed to promote this kind of thing? And we have to realize that Pub Universal Galactic Worldwide basically didn't even have a website or social media presence when this launched. I immediately did some searching and things, and there were press releases that went out for this book, and there were interviews with some people from the book. Oh, I'm drawing a blank here. John Barber. And yeah, it was very low key. And then it's running on Zoop. So Zoop is a much less traveled crowdfunding site. So that's not going for it as well. And like I said, Pan Universal Galactic Worldwide, I did finally see a social media account. There was on Instagram, but at the time, which was last week, they had no posts. So this feels like, this is something that people have been asking for. Conan book, it's been licensed by obviously the licensees, who are, let's see, Conan Properties, it's Heroic Signatures. There you go. So, good things. Great stuff. Oh, I'm so excited to see any Jorge Zafino art is AE worthy, I gotta say. And I'm finally excited to see some of that. And this looks like a really great cross selection. I mean, one complete issue, is that, are we going to see more than that? I don't know. But we'll see. All right. I've just rambled on about this. Spread the word. I'm going to try and spread the word, that's for sure. I've got to do some more social media. I'll do some more social media posts. I don't want to put another article up on the website. Now, what's interesting is Zoop also posted that the Jim Lee is a Zoop exclusive cover, meaning either this book will appear somewhere else and not have the Jim Lee cover. And then, but I think because of speculation, this was added to the bottom of the Zoop solicitation. This book is only getting one printing, and this campaign is the best way to get it. Whether you be a fan or comic retailer, it will not be reprinted. So this is it, your one chance to add this prestigious book to your coffee table. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to make a print run and not offer this book through other channels. So, I mean, it's tough. We'll see. All right. That's that. That's the solicitation. There were a few more solicitations this month, actually. IDW hasn't really... I mean, they don't do solicits anymore, do they? There's not really announcements. What happens is Penguin Random House seems to put new solicitations up, for IDW at least, on Mondays. And so far, 3 Mondays this month, a new book is coming out. I posted about 2 of them. I'm going to post about another one tomorrow, because I already did IDW November 2023 solicitations. Then I did IDW November 2023 Solicitations Redux. And I thought, did I want to do a third one? No. So I'll just wait till tomorrow, which is December 1st, and I'll post it. All right, so the first solicitation from IDW. Dave Cockrum's X-Men Artists Edition. An artist edition featuring the groundbreaking and best-selling X-Men series from the late 1970s by the stellar team of Chris Claremont and Dave Cockrum. This is an art book and not a traditional collection of comic books, featuring rare and beautiful imagery, a collection for connoisseurs of the form. This collection is a celebration of some of the most explosive art in X-Men history. Included in the stellar artist edition are more than 100 pages from Dave Cockrum's initial run, selections from his return to the series, and an amazing gallery of sketches and covers. See the giant size X-Men 1 cover as the artist originally imagined it. This has been solicited for July 30th, 2024. It's 12 inches by 17 inches, 160 pages, 150 US, and this is an exact reprinting of the Dave Cockrum's X-Men Artifact Edition. They're just changing the title of the book, and it's getting a reprint. So that's much like the other ones we've seen. This is just another solicit. And then we have the second IDW solicitation is Jack Kirby, The Eternals Pencil and Inks Artisan Edition. That's what the cover says. And then the cover goes on to say numbers 2, 5, and 7 of The Eternals, inks by John Verpoorten and Mike Royer. But then from the text from the solicitation says Jack Kirby's The Eternals. Now, every DC work that IDW has printed like this does not give apostrophe S for ownership. It's right. So I don't believe the book will actually be called Jack Kirby's The Eternals Pencils and Inks Artisan Edition, because we've got the preliminary cover. Covers do change, no question, because this preliminary cover is actually a little bit blurry, the artwork. So I think that'll be tightened up. We may see a different cover. Anyway, here's that solicit. A treasure trove of unseen material from the King of Comics, whose impact continues to resonate with fans today. Explore side-by-side presentations of restored photocopies of Jack Kirby's pencils next to the finished inks scanned from the original art. Several complete stories featuring the Eternals, including covers, will give a keen insight into the creative process of Jack Kirby, making this book a must-have for any fan of the artist or any fan of the art form. This has been solicited for August 13th, 2024. It's 8 inches by 12 inches, 176 pages, and it's a hardcover, and it's $49.99 US. So what you're thinking, Artisan edition, wait a second, those are reprints of artist editions. And yes, that's true. But when there is a hardcover Artisan edition, it normally indicates that it has not been printed previously as an artist edition. We had a previous Jack Kirby pencils and inks, and we've also had the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Artisan edition, which is also hardcover with a first time appearing of that material in the AE format. So this follows in that footstep. So we'll see if anything more gets added to that book. And finally, there's one more solicit for the month, and that is the Dupuis November 2023 solicitations. And that solicitation is Boulet et Bill, Artiste, Édition. Boulet et Bill is the flagship series of Jean Robert, who drew it for decades, constantly renewing it with complete discretion and exceptional fidelity to a series and to a mechanism, the one-panel gag, from which this Franco-Belgian comics giant has almost never deviated throughout his entire career. What can we say about the incredible popularity acquired by Boulet et Bill and its 25 million albums sold, which has never wavered and continues today through its covers and adaptations? Roba and Boulet et Bill participated strongly in the golden age of the Spirou newspaper and the Marcinelle School alongside Franquin, Maurice Payot Tillieu, and a few others. The first 60 gags of this ode to simple, family, and idealized happiness are, for the first time, published by reproducing the original plates in facsimiles in the original format. This has been solicited by Dupuis for January 26, 2024. It's 495 millimeters by 378 millimeters, which is 15 inches by 19.5 inches. It's 80 pages. It's a hardcover. It's 229 euros. So this is another in the series of the Dupuis Artiste Editions, which are pretty great. But I've decided I'm not going to be ordering these from the get-go anymore. I've been pre-ordering until now, and now I'm just going to wait and watch for a deal. They keep coming up on discount on Amazon if you catch it right. And the shipping to Canada has been brutal lately. Amazon changed something where I now have to pay the customs and duties up front, even though I rarely get them charged. So the last book I ordered, which I reviewed on the site and which we'll be discussing in a few minutes on the podcast here, I think that was my last one as a pre-order. All right, those are the solicitations. So a lot of exciting things. Let's talk shipping changes then, because there's been quite a few of those. John Byrne's X-Men Artist Edition, which is the reprinting of the Artifact Edition. Its new ship date is December 19th. And John Remise's Amazing Spider-Man The Daily Strips Artist Edition has been moved to January 9th. Boulet and Bill we discussed. Pretty Deadly, the Shrike Vault Edition has moved to April 3rd. EC Covers Artisan Edition is now solicited for May 21st. John Romita's The Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2 Artisan Edition is now June 25th. Dave Cockrum's X-Men we discussed, and Jack Kirby's Eternals Pencils we discussed. All right, so there's quite a few things keep moving out. So what's interesting is I think I've got my last book for the Dunbier Awards for January, because even if John Byrne's X-Men Artist Edition ships, these are reprints and they don't qualify for the awards. So I've got I think it's 6 books for the Dunbier Awards next year. And interesting, 3 are from IDW, 2 are from 2000 AD, and 1 is from Slingsby Bros Inc. So that's pretty well 2023 wrapped up. I can go over those right now. Judge Dredd by Mick McMahon, Apex Edition. Kevin Nolan's Marvel Heroes Artist Edition. David Wright's Carol Day and Lance Hallam. Michael Golden's Marvel Stories Artist Edition. Walter Simonson's Fantastic Four Artist Edition. And the 2080 art of Kevin O'Neill, Apex Edition. Those are our 6 contenders for next year. So that is exciting as well. I've really tried to lay in some more text, trying to get some more involvement, and I say it every year, but this time I'm actually working on it. I'm working on my press releases that I can send out to comic sites to try and get the best results for the Dunbier Awards that I've had yet. So let's fingers crossed and hope that can work out. Okay, and now the November 2023 poll, which is actually, I was inspired by all this talk about the Conan Colossal Edition. And the poll is, the AE format market is still small and sadly relatively unknown. Since you're here taking this poll, we can say AE Index is probably a primary news source for this format, but what source would you say provides the best comic news? I use all of these to fuel AE Index, but pick which you feel is most valuable. Unsurprisingly, comic news sites has the most votes, followed by creators, editors, then publishers, and then distributors and retailers are tied. Now, I find that interesting because 95% of the information I post on AE Index is solicitations, and that all comes from distributors. It's from Penguin Random House or Diamond. That's where I get my information. I mean, publishers is a follow-up to that. I get information from publishers, but mostly if they're not on a major distributor, really. So that's sort of that. And then comic news sites, I get almost nothing personally from comic news sites. They're just not a good source for AE format books. That's for sure. All right, that's the voting. I mean, I had to put comic news sites into the list, but I wanted to see what other people took advantage of. All right, that's the poll for this month. Let's get to out of print sales, October 2023. Alien the Illustrated Story, 1 copy, $129. 3 copies of Batman the Dark Knight Returns, averaging $111.67. 1 copy of Best of EC Volume 1 for $299.99. 2 copies of Best of EC Artist Edition Volume 2, averaging $491.25. This book, the Best of EC Volume 2 is seeing the biggest, that's the biggest spike I've seen this year. This book has really picked up. 2 copies of Bill Sienkiewicz's Mutants and Moon Knights and Assassins Artifact Edition, averaging $352.50. 2 copies of Conan Red Nails Original Art Archives, averaging $247.50. 1 copy of Dave Cockrum's X-Men Artifact Edition, $122.99. 1 copy of Dave Stevens' The Rocketeer Artist Edition First Print for $149.99. 1 copy of the second print for $199.99. 1 copy of David Mazzucchelli's Daredevil Born Again for $213.50. 1 copy of Fantagraphics Studio Edition Hal Foster's Prince Valiant for $199.99. 1 copy of Frank Cho's Savage Wolverine for $200. 2 copies of Frank Miller's Daredevil, averaging $106.25. 1 copy of Frank Miller's Sin City: The Hard Goodbye for $175.44. 2 copies of Gil Kane's Amazing Spider-Man, averaging $100. 1 copy of Jack Kirby Commandy for $159.99. 2 copies of Jack Kirby's Fantastic Four, averaging $224.97. 2 copies of Jack Kirby's Fantastic Four: The World's Greatest Artist Edition, averaging $350. 1 copy of Jack Kirby's The Mighty Thor for $150. 2 copies of Jim Lee DC Legends, averaging $136.25. 2 copies of John Buscema's Silver Surfer, averaging $280.88. That's a bump. 1 copy of John Byrne's X-Men Artifact Edition for $142.50. I mean, that's plummeted since the announcement of the Artist Edition. 1 copy of John Romita's The Amazing Spider-Man Artist Edition for $199.95. 1 copy of Volume 2 for $199.99. 1 copy of Judge Dredd by Brian Boland, $457.37. 1 copy of Lone Wolf and Cub for $117. 1 copy of Mad for $269.99. 3 copies of Marvel Covers Artist Edition First Print, $158.51 is the average. 2 copies of P. Craig Russell's Murder Mysteries and Other Stories, Gallery Edition, averaging $87.25. 1 copy of Ross Andrews' Amazing Spider-Man for $111.50. 1 copy of Sergio Aragona's Groot the Wanderer for $172.50. 2 copies of Star Wars Artifact Edition, averaging $64.99. 3 copies of Star Wars Dark Times Gallery Edition, averaging $49.96. 3 copies Steranko Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. First Print, averaging $167.50. 1 copy of the Book of Ballads, the original art edition, for $55.10. 4 copies of Walter Simonson Star Wars Artifact Edition, Artist Edition, averaging $103.12. 1 copy of Walter Simonson's The Mighty Thor Artist Edition, First Print, $199.99. 2 copies of the second print, averaging $174.48. 1 copy of Will Eisner's The Spirit Artist Edition Volume 2, which I just added to the list, $158.54. Let's look at records set this month. Don Rosa's The Life and Times of Scrooge McDuck Volume 1 variant cover sold for $399.99. Jack Kirby Fantastic Four: The World's Greatest Artist Edition, 1 copy sold for $499.99. And those are the 2 records set in October, those are high. All right. This is the time when I promote everybody to please support the site. I don't know if podcast listeners, I hope you subscribe to my newsletter. I actually made a change in the newsletter. I've had a banner asking people to join Patreon, and I changed that up to the AE Index store because I'd much prefer that you bought a book from me and got something good, and I got the money for selling the book. And for listeners of the podcast, I'm offering a 10% discount for the month of December. So if you're interested in a book from the store, please email me with your address and phone number so I can get you a shipping quote, and then I will take 10% off the price of any book they're interested in. So I hope people can take advantage of that and get a bit of a discount before Christmas. I see my pile of books to sell on the site has been growing, so I need to move some of these books. And I'd rather give a 10% discount to listeners than see them still sit here. So please do that. Buying something from the store is the best way to support me. Hands down, 100%. Using any of the affiliate links from the site, I get a percentage of that. If you click on a Things from Another World link and buy a book from them, I get a very nice return on that, which I appreciate. Amazon is kind of small, but it builds over a couple months. And the last way to support me is through Patreon. Now, that's $1 more or whatever your local currency is. And that just goes to the site for me to buy more books. I did finally post something wonderful for my Patreon patrons. I had an update from Bob Chapman at Graffiti Designs about the Brian Bowl and the Killing Joke Gallery Edition. So that's posted there. Expect that's been up for a couple weeks now. I'm going to post something to my normal site this coming week. As well, I have an interview with Scott Dunbier coming. I've been editing it. I'm so slow on editing. It's unbelievable. But that's going to go up within the next week. I think it's going to go up on for my Patreon patrons first, and then it will make its way to the regular site after that. All right. That's the blurb there. So please, if you're a podcast listener, take advantage of that 10% discount and order some books from me. I will ship worldwide. 2 reviews this month. First one up, the 2080 Art of Kevin O'Neill Apex Edition. Here's the blurb. An incredible insight into the art of one of comics' most unique talents. The 2080 Art of Kevin O'Neill Apex Edition is available to pre-order now. I still just take the blurb from the site, right? So the contents of this 160-page collection were compiled by O'Neill from his own archive, working closely with Rebellion's editorial and reprographics teams, that's an interesting term, to curate this unmissable testament to his remarkable career. O'Neill, who sadly died in November, was an artist without peer. His work on strips in 2000 AD, such as Nemesis the Warlock, Metalzoic, Judge Dredd, Robusters, and more, sealed his reputation even before his wildly popular and influential work on Martial Law with Pat Mills and The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with Alan Moore. His innovative, iconoclastic, idiosyncratic, and inventive work for 2000 AD will be showcased in an unmissable oversized art book featuring high-resolution scans of original art by one of comics' most unique talents. Wow, that's quite a presentation. Presented in a deluxe oversized facsimile edition, the Kevin O'Neill Apex Edition will reproduce these stunning pages at their actual size, from covers to stunning double-page spreads, from just some of his famous work on Nemesis the Warlock to his final sequential work on Bongo from Beyond the Stars, giving fans the chance to see these pages in all their glory. This was released by 2000 AD through Diamond, November 8th, 2023. It was initially released through the 2000 AD website. You could get it a couple months before that, but I'm not paying shipping overseas when I can just get it from Diamond with a hefty discount. So this was 475 millimeters by 365 millimeters, or 14 1/3 inches by 18.7 inches. 160 pages hardcover. The Diamond price in North America was $155 USD. It was cheaper from the 2000 AD website, but then you had to pay for shipping. Okay, this book is really interesting. It's quite a compilation. As I said, it was all from O'Neill's archives. And the nice thing about this Apex edition is it's been a while. The last couple Apex editions have been more like artifact editions where it's just a random collection of stuff. This is complete, not stories, but complete chapters from 2000 AD, because that's an anthology book. They publish like 5 to 7 page chapters at a time. And this book is complete chapters. There's 4 pages. What is it? There's 4 pages that are not from original art. And I love how they worded it. This Apex edition contains scans of 4 pages not found in O'Neill's archive. pages 29, 92, 93, and 102. These were scanned from film and included for the sake of completeness and for a more comprehensive reading experience. I just like that. And I also like that 2000 AD puts page numbers on every page in their Apex editions, and they also put what comic it appeared in, what was the name of the story, and what page of the story it was. Like, it's so great. So you know, it's really well done. You can follow along. And it's interesting to see Kevin O'Neill. I like most people, I came to Kevin O'Neill. I saw that Metalzoic graphic novel from DC and went, ugh, I don't really like this. And then I saw Martial Law and it sort of grew on me. And then, of course, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen was awesome. And you see O'Neill evolve his style. Like, the very first story in here is a Judge Dredd story, and he's trying to just look like everybody else's Judge Dredd. It's very round. The characters have an interesting body shape, and it does not look like Kevin O'Neill at all. And then slowly you see this growth as an artist discovers his style, and he works into it. And I want to say by mid-book, it's got that Kevin O'Neill look, right? And there's some really great presentation here. Obviously a lot of black and white pages. But then there's actually a lot of colored work in here too. Looks great. Whatever rubber cement 2000 AD used for the word balloons, right? It's brown, and it's sort of, the word balloons have sort of gotten somewhat see-through, and it's a really neat look. Apex editions are tough, I think, in the North American market because it's work that we're just not familiar with, right? Unless you've been exposed to British comics, you really don't have a real appreciation for this stuff, but you may have an appreciation for the artist. And that's where these, like I said, these complete chapters are great because you can read a slice of it and get a good feel for it. And if you're a fan of Kevin O'Neill, I mean, we've got the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Gallery Edition, and now we've got this. So that's wonderful to see two works of Kevin O'Neill in this AE format. Second review this month. Le Cirque Bodoni, Artiste, Édition. Here's the blurb as Google translated for me. The Artiste Édition Dupuis collection presents a pinnacle of Benoit Bricefer series, an album in which the specific talents of Peyo and Waltery are best combined. I guess it's Waltery. In Le Cirque Bodoni, begun in Spiro in November 1969, and the album was produced in 1971, Peyo incorporates into his contemporary narrative all the elements of the tales he loves. Helped by the Dream Team, Goss Waltery, he multiplies dynamism, humor, and action. The peak of the series, Le Cirque Bodoni, is also the pivotal album between the graphic periods of Peyo and Waltery. For the first time, the original boards of this exemplary album are reproduced in facsimiles in the original format. So in case you can get that from the blurb, it's written by Peyo, with assistant writing by Goss, and then Waltery did the art. All right. Another outstanding presentation by Dupuis. I love these Artiste Editions. I love, actually, the design is so great. It's a wonderful book. Philippe Gilletti did the design again. He sort of designed these. And we get a wonderful, very straightforward presentation. Interesting end papers. It's just a pattern of the same image, but really sticks to that. And then we've got an introduction with a bit of a history behind this creative team on this book. A lot of photos, which is nice. Some original art, and then we get right into the story. Nothing missing. The full 60-page album, including the cover of the album from the 1971. Pages again are just the standard Spirou comic pages, which are half pages, numbered A and B, and then they tape together, and that's how they produce the albums. And it's this is a work I'm not familiar with. It was not translated in English, but I'd heard good things about it, and I really enjoy the style. It just pops out of the page. This is just so classic. French material here, late 60s. It's really nice, and I so wish that we could get more of this translated, and that I'm still doing my Duolingo. I'm 600 days into Duolingo, I think, trying to learn French, but I'm still struggling with this. And but you can you use your phone, you do Google Translate, and it'll do each word balloon as you hover over it, so you can pick it up certainly and get this French comic. The scans are wonderful. I didn't mention the last book either, but the scans are great in the Kevin O'Neill book too. A lot of great presentation in this book. My complaint, of course... Oh, it's... I was going to get to my complaint. Which cost? These books started off at 200 euros, and I feel like we got more pages, and I feel like the paper's gotten a bit thinner. And it's now up to 229 euros, which is 250 US. So for Canadian, I mean, oh my goodness, that's a lot of money. So that's 350 Canadian approximately. And then you have shipping on top of it. This was just too expensive for me to continue getting. So crazy, yeah. I just, it's these French items that I harp on every time. They did 700 copies of this book. So maybe that's why the price is higher. Maybe if they printed 2,000, the price could be lower, but then would they sell 2,000? I just appreciate that they number each volume, right? They make it as special as possible. You feel like you're getting something wonderful, something special. I love the cloth-bound, quarter cloth-bound spine. I love that the hot stamping on it. I really enjoy the numbered edition. These are all things that North American publishers could do to make their book present more valuable, to make it feel like you're getting something more special. It just doesn't seem to happen. All right. Also, but North American publishers keep the price down. So I mean, you gotta weigh it out. It's $250 US versus $150 US we're paying for the average artist edition with twice as many pages. So there's things to praise here with Dupuis, but then there's really things that I just, it hurts. All right. That's it for this month. Thanks for listening. I recorded this on November 30th. It's going to go live on December 1st. That's when I put the podcast up. Thanks for joining me here. And like I said, please take advantage of that sale and watch the social media and the website and the newsletter, please. We're going to have some new and exciting information. Like I said, if you want to hear the Scott Dunbier interview, please join Patreon. And if you want to know more about the update to the Batman The Killing Joke Gallery Edition by Brian Boland, then that's another treat. So we'll talk again next month.
Let her go, God bless her. Wherever she may be, she can search this wide world over. She'll never find a sweet man like me.